a lot of good things in those, right?
No, I'm wondering something about, if y'all don't mind.
Sure.
When it was talking about what going into your mouth doesn't defile the man, but only what comes out, and that, where was that?
Two places, Matthew and Mark.
Matthew what?
Matthew 15 and Mark 7.
I'm just trying to, Matthew 15. 15 what, do you know? Oh, here it is, I got it. Do you not understand that whatever enters into the mouth goes into the stomach and is cast out in the sewer? So now, that makes me wonder about any unclean food. Is any food unclean? Really?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, okay, so this is not about food, because food is declared in Leviticus 11, but this is about, it is a ritual that continues to this day. It's a Jewish ritual. There's a hand washing ceremony that they do, and they say all these prayers and stuff like that. And the teaching was that if you don't do this ritual, this specific prayer, blessed are you, Yahweh Elohim, who has commanded us to wash our hands, which it doesn't command anywhere in the scriptures to do before you eat, then what they were saying is basically if you eat bread without doing this ritual, your bread is unclean. So it's a man-made commandment that they did, kind of like the whole keeper thing. If you do any studies on that, you'll see that they'll tell you, like, if you walk more than 4 cubits without your head covered, you sin. That's not in the scriptures anywhere. That came in the like 800 years ago. So same thing with this hand washing ceremony this was something that they made up, and it's almost like a magic ritual. Like if you don't do this ritual before you eat, your lamb becomes pork, and you have sinned. So if you look into it a little deeper, he says, why do you sin against why do you transgress against the tradition of the elders and eat with unwashed hands? So that's what he's coming against. You have to keep in consideration that if anyone comes against the words of Moses, they have committed heresy. So if Yeshua comes along, now I personally believe that Yeshua wrote all the commandments. He was the one in the cloud who wrote on the stone, all this stuff. That was him. He did that. Yes, he technically has the right to do away with anything if he felt so, but he also said that there's no shadow of repenting in him. He does not change. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So therefore, he took away even his own right to change what has been written. So to come along and later and say, "Oh, we can eat a ham sandwich now," it technically is heresy. That's
What you see later on in both chapters, it defines what defiles a man.
Yeah.
And it's not talking about food at all.
Yeah.
It's talking about what's within the man's heart, the whorings, the murders, the adulteries, those types of things. Mm-hmm. So this is where a lot of people take these verses out of context and apply them to food when it's not about food at all. It's about what typically and actually does defile a man. And the food is not a defilement. It's the evils of your heart that actually defile you.
All right. Jeremy, before we go,
I was going to say all those things. Good job. It was my favorite portion.
Oh, that's good. We got 30 minutes. We can do Torah expounding. Let's pray and go to the throne of Yahweh. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, Yahweh, we thank you again, Father, for giving us this opportunity to read your word. Father, we ask you to be with us as I expound this word of yours here for this morning. I ask you, Father, that you will delete things that's not agreeable to you, and that your word should be the one that will be emphasized this morning. This is all we pray to our Savior, Yahshua Mashiach. Amen. All right. This is a good Torah portion. A lot of things. It's talking about Mishpatim. There's justice for all, property rules, religious laws, the annual festivals, slaves, violence, social law, blood of the covenant, restitution, Sabbath was discussed here, sabbatical year as well. And all in the Torah. Very compact. portion.
I agree, this is one of my favorite of the Torah portions of the 5 books. Yeah, I quote a lot of those laws a lot.
Yes. And the first verse says, Ve'elech ha-mishpatim aser tasim libnehem. And these are the rules that you shall set before them. So these are people being given freedom. Freedom! Right? Now they're going out, having this new freedom. And the Father in heaven doesn't want them to do any wanton things. He wants them to walk the way He wants them to walk. These are people that just came out from slavery. That's why there's a lot of verses here that's talking about, hey, if you have, someday, you guys will have a slave. And how we can apply that today in our lives? Well, if I'm working for someone else, I'm a slave. I'm a slave to that person. If that person will tell me, you have to come in 7 o'clock in the morning, I should be at work at 6:55. Right? But the one person that we should be really looking for and having our ear put to the door is Yahshua. We are forever His people. So Mishpatim, it's Mem, Shin, Pei, Tau, Yod, and a final Mem. That would be nice if we can have Hebrew classes, right, brother? So it's a Mem in there, a Shin, a Pei, and a Tau, a Yod, and a final Mem. They call it Mem Sophit. So it's in Exodus 21 to the 24:18. In here, they said there's 53 rules of accountability, rules on compensation and restitution. The character of Yahweh that's showing up here is the loving Father that gives the law, and He's also the judge. And it says that in Genesis 18:25, far be it from you to do such a thing, to put the righteous to death with the wicked, so that the righteous fare as the wicked. Far be it from you, shall not judge of all the earth to do what is judged. So He's really a lawgiver and a just judge. So whatever we're doing now, there will be consequences. Like David, he fell in sin, but again, even though he asked for forgiveness, there is consequences on what he did. It's a glimpse of Messiah, a lot of glimpse of the Messiah here too, in this book that we read. And it teaches us how to treat our fellow men. So a lot of Messiah in here. They said that there's 613, that's in the canon, whatever is in approved canon, 613 mitzvot, commandments. We don't know with those other books, but we're just gonna take the 613. You can divide it into 3. The first one is hukim, that's the statutes, and these are the not obvious or rational law, like red heifer. Why are you gonna wash with red heifer? The clean food law, right? Why do I have to take this as a hukim? That's a statute. Looking at the serpent. Hey, you look at the serpent and you're not gonna die. That's a command, and it's a statute. And some people continue doing that, looking at the serpent. Now you have the medicine symbol of the serpent. Was that
That's a pagan version. But
yeah, So they continue doing that. But those are hukim statutes. It's requiring faith. You have to look at that serpent and then you will live. You have to attach yourself to Yeshua. Then you will have everlasting life. That's a statute. The next one is called Edot, and that's a witness. It's symbolically foreshadowing laws. The Sabbath, the holy days, 10 commandments, the tzitzit. This reveals our faithfulness. Why are we doing it? There's some question. So you're a Judaizer. You're wearing tzitzit so that you will be saved. No, it's not. We're doing it because we are faithful to Him. And we love Him. Now, on this study that we have, it's talking about Mishpatim, the judgment. These are obvious, logical, national laws, laws of relationship, charity, no theft, no murder. This doesn't require any faith, because you know, if you break this law, you're gonna be stoned to death. Mishpatim. If you curse your father and your mother, you will be put to death. It doesn't require any logic, right? And it's, laws of relationship. If you kill me, a person, then eye for an eye, it says here.
Yeah.
But in the future, it will be stopped, right? So first, we're going to talk about accountability. Some people have accountability value really high on themselves. But there are some that they don't want any accountability. We'll just have to pray for those people. But accountability says it's the quality or state of being accountable, especially an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's action. So now we know that sometimes if I will pass here in Highway 69 and I will do 65 miles per hour here, and a police from the Native American will see me, right, or report me to wherever, I will be accountable for that type of driving or type of attitude, right? So we should be accountable for what we do. In Exodus 21 to 1 to 17, this is accountability to man. We are accountable to our fellow man. In Exodus 22:18 down under, we are accountable to the Most High. There are some rules on servant. So some people will say, but June, we don't promote that. We don't like servant. Well, there's a difference between servitude in those old days to the servitude that we, the American people, experience.
Right.
A big difference. Yes. Because in this biblical concept, they are part of your family. You will treat them right. Killing. It says here, killing. Pretty soon we will be talking about the city of refuge. There's 6 of them that was created for the Hebrew people. One is in Golan, Ramoth, Bozor, Kadesh, Shechem, and Hebron. So if you commit something wrong, you can take shelter to those city of refuge.
They're prison cities, basically.
But yeah, you can't step outside.
Yeah, until the priests die, you're not gonna go. And that will be a good.
I think there ended up being like 42 that we got know, right? Because there was like 6 in each.
There was 43.
43?
Yeah.
There was some in different tribes. I remember that. But
And
there
it
was a lot.
said the specific ones, specific ones, yeah, if you killed someone,
Mhm.
there's other cities that pertain to harboring you for
Under crimes. Yeah. So it would be a good topic for that, because our refuge is Israel. Strike or curse father and mother, you will be put to death. Yeah. In Exodus 22:24, what you sow, so shall you reap. Gossip. Okay, if you're, Facebook is a form of gossip sometimes, right? So that's 23:1. No bitterness was instructed on 23:4. Yeshua is found in 21:25, by the way. It says, burning for burning, wound for wound, strike for strike. He took some strike for us. That's Yeshua. No, not to mention the names of other gods. So it's going to be a good topic also later on. That's in 23:13. So we probably have to define, okay, what are the names of our gods?
That's why I don't believe that the Reptile shop was originally written in Greek, because it's filled with
With
the name.
other gods.
Yeah.
So it's mentioned here, not to mention the names of other gods. In 23:19, it's talking about principles of compassion. Something that's, some people are really compassionate. But this is a command to us, to be compassionate. 23:20 to 30, 20 to 30, it's also, again, showing Yeshua. Starting in 21, beware of him and obey. It's like Shema, right?
That's him, yeah.
Shema, his voice, provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him.
Yahushua.
My name is in him. So we're bringing Yah to Yahshua. Following man-made traditions, there's a prohibition on that one in 23:24. Luke 17:3 says, pay attention to yourselves. If your brother sins, rebuke him, and if he repents, forgive him. So that's an instruction to us. So it's still a Mishpatim. Galatians 6:1-5, brothers, if anyone is caught in any transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness. Keep watch on yourself, lest you to be tempted. Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Messiah. For if anyone thinks he is something, when he is nothing, he deceives himself. But let each one test his own work, and then his reason will be in himself alone, and not in his neighbor. For each will have to bear his own load. So that's the command of the social, the Mishpatim. Jeremiah said, I, Yahweh, search the heart and test the mind, to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his deeds. So he's really looking into what's inside. Because you might say, no, I want to really worship you. But he said, how will you show that worship to me? It's through your prayer. How will you worship me if you're not loving your brothers and sisters? Next one is the compensation. Well, we love that, right? If you're working, we love this. The act or state of compensating, as by rewarding someone for service or by making up for someone's loss, damage, or injury by giving the injured party an appropriate benefit. So this is where, okay, I'm borrowing your ox. Your ox got killed. Well, I have it in my possession. What will I do? Would that be, oh, I'm sorry, thank you for your ox. You have to compensate for the loss of the ox. That's in Exodus 21:19-35. In English, compensation is, okay, I work for you, you now owe me. You give me you compensate me, give me something. My wages. In Hebrew language, pay is 5414, and it says Nathan. That means to give, put, to set. And my son was named Nathaniel because he is a gift of Yahweh. That is a gift.
So is that basically saying that even payment is a gift of Yahweh?
Yes. That's why everything that you have, even though you're the ones working on it really hard, like I work like 50 hours a week,
Yeah.
it's not mine.
So I didn't really earn it.
It's a gift from me.
That's beautiful.
It's a gift. Hurting a woman with a child, you have to owe him, pay him. It's a gift. You acknowledge that you did wrong. Yeshua in the Torah in the 21:25, He gave it as at a time. He is a gift to us.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Back a slide or two about the forgiveness. And I know forgiveness is a huge thing, but
Yeah,
this is conditional on his repentance.
correct.
But all forgiveness is not conditional on repentance, right? I mean, I have to forgive whether he repents or not.
Yes.
I happen to believe forgiveness is actually spiritual warfare. It destroys the enemy's legal right to torment me with that offense.
It does more for yourself than it does for the other person.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it will take years.
But as soon as I learned, it shuts the door to the enemy.
Yes.
I got pretty passionate about forgiveness.
Yes. And sometimes, as I've said, sometimes it's hard. But a wise person told me, just forgive that person and leave it at that, so that the burden is no longer on your shoulders.
Because it's a torment.
Yeah, it's going to be a torment for you.
It is awesome.
But then he tries to roll the tapes again a lot.
Yeah.
And you gotta just keep going, you know? Take that from me, you know what I mean? Because I don't need that. Because it just causes you to be tormented again by reliving it.
Exactly.
I heard somebody say once, one of the hardest things to let go of is a justified resentment. It's such a bait of the enemy. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is his big gift to us in Isaiah 53:4. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And as one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by Yahweh and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace, and with his wounds we are healed. That's a gift.
That's so heartbreaking though. We judged him for taking on our sins. We judged him as if he was inferior, something was wrong with him. And he did it for ours.
And sometimes we think that he owes this to us. It's a Nathan.
That's his love.
Yeah, that's his love. That's in Hebrew 5:4-1-4. That is his love to us. In Leviticus 24:17-21, it says, whoever takes a human life shall surely be put to death. Whoever takes an animal's life shall make it good, life for life. So if you if you kill some other person's goat, and it's a 50-pounder goat, then you have to give a 50-pounder back. Or better. If anyone injures his neighbor, as he had done, it shall be done to him. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Oh, it hurts. Whatever injury he has given a person shall be given to him. Whoever kills an animal shall make it good, and whoever kills a person shall be put to death. Proverbs 20:22, do not say, I will repay evil. Wait for Yahweh, and he will deliver. So, because you might go back to Leviticus, see, June, I have to kill that person too. Because it says in Leviticus, right? But Proverbs says, do not say, I will repay evil. Wait for Yahweh, and he will deliver. And that is not allowed too in our current justice system.
No, at 21, I mean, save the whales, but legalize abortion.
Yeah.
It's hideous.
It's serious. But killing a person, some of the killing are being allowed by the worldly justice. But if you kill a person now, just by killing him, there will be trial awaiting. But it says, do not repay evil.
Woe unto those that are breaking this direct command here.
Yes.
Romans 12:17 says, repay no one evil for evil. So this is this is a magnification of that Leviticus. Repay no one evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourself, but leave it to the wrath of Yahweh. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Yahweh. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink, for by doing you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but to overcome evil. That's hard to do, right? Hey, enemy, come on, let's go to McDonald's. I'll treat you for lunch.
It's not like you keep inviting me to lunch.
Yeah, no, that's not it, right?
Just another thought. I've heard people say that the Torah implies you're supposed to hate your enemy, because Yahshua says, you've heard it said by Venerable, love your neighbor, but hate your enemies. But he wasn't quoting the Torah there, because in this, I don't remember exactly where it was, but it says, if you find your enemy's donkey under a burden, go and help.
Yes.
And so there really isn't anything that Yahshua taught that isn't from the Torah.
That's correct.
On the flip side of that, you know what I mean, there's a donkey involved. That donkey doesn't deserve to be suffer for your dispute between someone else. That donkey has nothing to do with how you don't like that guy. You should have compassion on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But again, the more that you will have compassion to a human being, even though this guy is really hurting me or yeah.
But in fact, this ties into another thing from Torah. I don't think it was in today's portion, but it will be in a future one. I know it will be. And that is, it says, whenever someone who you, I'm paraphrasing, when someone who you dislike, whenever they're having misfortune, don't laugh at their misfortune. Don't take pleasure in their misfortune. So,
So this ties up with Mishpatim.
It's also, I think, like
Human relationship is what the Almighty is really. Yes.
Well, also in Proverbs 21, it talks about how to treat your enemies. And that is, one who takes away a garment in cold weather is like vinegar on soda, and a singer of songs on an evil heart. But if your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For you're heaping coals of fire on his head, and Yahweh rewards you.
Yes.
So.
And again, I think the flip side is true. If we get baited into returning evil for evil, and it's so easy to do. Well, now I've opened my doors to the enemy to come on in and just destroy my house.
That's true. So it says, for by so doing, you will heap burning coals on his head. There's some story that during the old winter days in the old times, some will put live coals inside a fire-resistant container and will carry it on their head and go from house to house to offer a live coal to those who doesn't have fire in their fireplaces. That's a blessing. I think that's a blessing.
So that's a blessing with God.
Hebrews 10:30, for we know him who said, vengeance is mine, I will repay. And again, Yahweh will judge his people. In Jeremiah 17:10, I, Yahweh, search the heart and test the mind to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruits of his deeds.
I'd like to add about that wholesome head. That's very lovely to look at, because in a way that also is shown in the whole saints about to be a light to others and to share that light with others, and in sharing our obedience to Almighty, we are inspiring others to. That's what we are, that lamp, on the hill, and we are sharing that with others. Maybe someone was our enemy, but due to our being good to them, we brought obedience to Almighty to them, and now they are that lamp to others. So
That's a good one.
Yes.
Because again, someday we will appear in his judgment. We will appear. And I believe that personally. And we will be judged according to what we did.
I'm just so touched by that, because when I return evil for evil, I'm spreading the kingdom of darkness. Which I don't want to be a part of, in my heart of hearts. But if I'm returning good for evil, I'm spreading the kingdom of light of Yahshua. And I want to be a part of that. I want to be on that team.
All right, restitution. Now let's go to restitution. Restitution is the payment that a criminal court orders a convicted offender to pay his or her victim or victims for the losses suffered as a result of the crime. It's an act of restoring or a condition of being restored, such as a restoration of something to its rightful honor and making good or giving an equivalent or some injury, for some injury. So that's in Exodus 22. We read a whole lot of that. There are trespasses that does not require death. So if you probably borrowed your neighbor's goat, and in the process of borrowing the goat, all of a sudden died, you're not gonna be put to death. You're just borrowing it. Only restitution.
I was thinking about that, and when I learned a little bit about how farming and stuff happens, like, so a lot of times people don't want to feed them, don't want to feed a male goat, so they'll have females, but they want baby goats and milk, so they'll go and they'll pay somebody so they can borrow the ram for a while to impregnate the females, and then they'll send the ram back.
Yeah.
So if during that process, that ram gets killed or whatever, or stolen.
You're not gonna be put to death on that one.
No.
If I borrow probably some of your instrument for fixing car, and I lost it, I'm not gonna be put to death. But only restitution. That is the requirement. Stealing, theft, you're not gonna be put to death. Only restitution is required. Like also borrowing.
That's where there's a distinction, speaking of in Exodus, if a thief breaks in at the night and you strike him and they die, there's no blood guilt. But if it is during the day and you
That you
kill
can
them,
see.
there is blood guilt because you can tell they're only taking something.
Yes.
They're not a threat to you.
Thank you. So in Leviticus 6:1-5 says, Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, if anyone sins and commits a breach of faith against Yahweh by deceiving his neighbor in a matter of deposit or security, or through robbery, or if he has oppressed his neighbor, or has found something lost and lied about it, swearing falsely, in any of all the things that people do and sin thereby, if he has sinned and has realized his guilt and will restore what he took by robbery, or what he got by oppression, or the deposit that was committed to him, or the lost thing that he had found, or anything about which he has sworn falsely, he shall restore it in full, and shall add a fifth to it, and give it to him to whom it belongs on the day he realizes his guilt. Sounds familiar, right? A short guy?
Oh yeah. That he is.
Yes. He realizes his guilt.
I shall repay fourfold.
He realizes. And Zacchaeus stood and said to the master, behold, I have a need. The half of my goods I give to the poor, and if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I restore it fourfold. And Yeshua said to him, today salvation has come to your house, Zacchaeus, since you are also a son of Abraham. Yes.
Going back to Leviticus, if I recall correctly, today's Torah portion says pay double, but then Leviticus says pay what it was plus 20%. In fact, so what is that about?
Well, he even paid more. He even paid more. So it seems like, okay, the rule is you just don't compensate the person for a goat to a goat, but at least give him something. And this is human relationship. We are establishing human relationship here. So you killed my goat, and we didn't even partook of that goat. So it's human relationship, so brother, so that you will be happy. I'm so sorry what happened to your goat, but to make you feel better, I'll give you an equal goat, and I will even treat you at McDonald's. Right? So it's probably, well, it's McDonald's just $10, but it's the thought of it.
Yeah.
Right? It's the thought of it that, hey, he really cares for me, that my feeling was hurt. Just died, right? So, yes.
I think that, because that, in a way, it's both kind of exactly, what you took of, but also paying a little bit of extra to make up for the emotional hurt.
Yes.
And that's the way that restitution works in the courts too oftentimes, is oftentimes you have to pay both for someone's physical injuries, but also for any emotional injuries, you have to pay money too.
Exactly.
And so
So
that's
pain and suffering, right?
yeah.
Emotional distress.
It's emotional distress.
Yeah,
That's
he killed my
that's
dog.
that's included. So what's the application for today? Because we're reading about this rules, Mishpatim, but how will we apply this in our lives today? As I've said, some of us are still working, and we have people that's over us, and sometimes we are supervisors, and we have people under us too. So if your boss is hammering you down here, right, top, you, the middle level supervisor, should not be doing that. You should be protecting. Romans 13:8-10, it says, owe no one anything except to love each other, for the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. For the commandments, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet. And any other commandments are summed up in this word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love does not wrong to a neighbor, therefore love is the fulfillment of the law. If I know that I will be harming a person, I'm not going to do it. If I know that I will bring sadness to a person, they're my neighbor. And who says, who are my neighbors? These are your brothers and sisters. Basically, he's saying, hey, you do this to your house first. So I'm not going to do injustice to anyone. I'm not going to lie to anyone. I'm not going to covet to anyone. It says, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, because love does no wrong to a neighbor, and you are fulfilling
The biblical definition of love right here, fulfilling of the law, keeping his commandments.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Hebraic version of love is different from the Greek version of love, though.
Uh-huh.
So love is a form of servanthood
Yes.
to one another, whereas the Greek one it's an abstract word, whereas Hebrew is concrete.
Mhm.
This is how you love your neighbor, right? And then you go through the Mishpatim of how you love somebody, and correcting somebody for something that they're doing wrong might be love, or correcting, when they start saying something unscriptural and start trying to say it's scriptural, and you go, that's not what scripture says. Let's look at the word and see. That's also love.
Yes.
And you brought them into correction. If they won't receive it, then that's on them. But your hands are clean, right?
Correct.
But it's not just be harsh for the sake of harshness.
Yes.
So
We're doing it because we really care for that person. Right. Lovely. Closing song. Let's close our